Well, you saw him there. The Shadow Chancellor, John McDonnell, also told the Labour conference that the party will introduce a cap on credit card interest payments to help, as he put it, families with big debts.
So I'm calling upon the government to act now and apply the same rules on payday loans to credit card debt. It means that no one will ever pay more in interest than their original loan. If the Tories refuse to act, I can announce today that the next Labour government will amend the law. When we go in, you can call it the McDonnell Amendment.
Let's turn to Andrew Pendleton, who's Director of Policy and Advocacy at the New Economics Foundation, who's in our Westminster studio. As you see, Andrew Pendleton, a very good afternoon to you. How might this cap work?
Well, it's quite straightforward, really. So you apply a cap on the amount of interest that we can repay if we borrow money, and that in the case of the what we call the payday lenders, so the companies that were very much in the news a year or two ago and aren't now because of what's been happening, it means that you would never have to pay more than 100% of what you borrowed. So you'd never pay more back than you originally borrowed, which is a highly sensible move. It's one the New Economics Foundation firmly supports, and in fact we've been calling on the government to do this now for a few months.
They were in the news a while ago. Did they not put their own house in order?
Well, they were made to by the regulator, and so what Mr McDonnell is proposing, what Labour is proposing, what we'd like to see the government do now is extend this to credit card companies. A lot of people borrow from credit cards, borrow on their credit card because they can't borrow in any other way. Perhaps they can't afford to repay, but they end up borrowing at the most expensive rates. And we've been hearing from people who've borrowed in that kind of way at the New Economics Foundation, and this not only leads to financial problems for them, but also very often psychological and emotional problems, which means they end up spending time off work, and if they spend time off work, then they can easily get into even more trouble with debt, and it becomes a downward spiral. So this is a very good proposal. It's very sound economically as well, and it's one we fully support and should be brought in now.
There will be always those people, Andrew, who say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the impact of this actually would be to reduce the number of lenders available. It would not make lenders any more clement. It wouldn't mean the rates that they charge and their interest over term would be any more charitable. It would simply mean there would be fewer lenders lending money, oftentimes to people who are struggling financially anyway, and the effect would be to force them underground. It would be a boom time for the sharks.
Well, I lost part of your question there, but I think you're suggesting that this will push people out into even worse parts of the market. That's not been what's happened in the case of where this regulation is already brought in for the payday loans. In fact, what it would do, it would just drive a few of the, those who are charging the highest interest rates out of the market, and it would mean more responsible lenders, more responsible lending to people who can afford to pay it back. There are some underlying things here, though, that I think are really worthy of mention. Though, for instance, falling real wages is driving people to borrow more. So there's an underlying structural problem here we do also need to deal with. But this is a really good first move. And bringing people who are in this condition, in this position together is a really important point. That's what the New Economics Foundation has been trying to do, because we don't think we'll get these changes until we bring people who are currently in debt together so that they can take control over the issue themselves. I think that's really critical, and push for these kinds of changes. But it's a very good first move, and one that the New Economics Foundation fully supports.
Andrew Pendleton, thanks very much.